Hello, everybody. We are going to get started shortly, but just in the meantime, feel free to introduce yourself and where you're joining us from this morning. We'd love to get a feel for who's in the room. And excuse me, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Thank you so much. All right. So once again, just hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited to get this presentation started. My name is Isis Vargas. I'm the Administration and Grants Manager at the Long Beach Community Foundation. Just very quickly, I wanted to let you all know that the chat is disabled. So our staff is working on fixing that issue. So I apologize for that. But in the meantime, we are going to get started on the presentation just so that we are mindful of everybody's time. Joining me today is our very own board chair, Frank Newell, who I'll speak on a little bit more later in this presentation. And it looks like the chat feature has been fixed, so that's really great. So just wanted to let you know that this presentation is being recorded, and a copy of the video and the slide deck will be emailed to you afterward. We do have time scheduled at the end of the presentation for a 15-minute Q&A. However, please feel free to use the Q&A feature on the webinar. We have a couple of staff members helping to field some of those questions, and if they're relevant, we may even answer some throughout the presentation. And also, just a very quick note, if for some reason we don't get to your question during this presentation, please reach out to me, and we'll go ahead and assist you as best we can. And I see so many folks are introducing themselves in the chat, so welcome everyone once again. So this is what we're going to be covering during this presentation. Our very own Frank Newell will be giving a brief history about the foundation, our values, and we'll be covering how grants are decided through a thorough two-step review process. We'll also be going into detail about this year's grant opportunities, which I'm sure you're all very excited to hear about. We'll give some tips to help strengthen your applications. And lastly, we will have my contact information, so stay connected with us because we definitely want to know more about you and your organization. And I'm so excited to be able to present alongside our board chair this year. Frank Newell is an extraordinary person full of passion for Long Beach and its residents. He's been involved with LBCF since its inception, originally serving as legal counsel for us. And outside of Long Beach Community Foundation, Frank is also on the Long Beach Rotary Scholarship Foundation Board, and he's also a trustee at the Aquarium of the Pacific. And he's also served in various other boards in the past as well.
Well, thank you, Isis. That's quite a buildup. And good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us today. Before we start talking about our grants or the Long Beach Community Foundation, we wanted to have you fill out a brief poll. And the reason for that is it gives us a little indication of our audience today, a snapshot, so we know how familiar you may be with the organization. Maybe you've heard about us, but have never interacted, or maybe you know nothing about us. but it is helpful for us. So take a few seconds and fill that in. And after that, we will move into the Long Beach Community Foundation and our granting. I'm not seeing any results on this. Oh, now I am. Looks like we have about 60% very familiar, about 25% in the middle, and 16% haven't met us before. So that's a good mix, and we're glad to hear that. And anyone who has not filled it out, continue to do so, and we'll keep this thing moving. First thing I want to do is talk about the Long Beach Community Foundation. And in a minute, you'll see our mission statement. And our goal is to be the preeminent steward of endowments serving the needs of the Long Beach community. That's what a community foundation does. We're one of about 800 community foundations throughout the United States. In fact, we're one of the youngest because we were not established until 1996. It actually became an independent community foundation in 2003. Since that time, we've been able to grow our assets to about $60 million. And we currently have about 200 funds. We have relationships with, I'm sure, many of you on this line today, as we are involved with about 70 different local nonprofits where we have agency accounts and assist with the financial investment management in working with you in order so you can achieve your objectives. We also have about 75 donor-advised funds, which allow individuals to make charitable contributions and to make grants over periods of time that are convenient for them and their charitable needs. We have a variety of funds that we administer that serve the community, including designated funds that focus on a particular charitable entity, field of interest funds, which focus on charitable areas of interest. And we have worked closely with the city in terms of the coronavirus and more recently, the new Mayor's Homeless Fund. We're also involved with Send a Kid to Camp and are engaged in a variety of activities throughout the community. And what's different about a community foundation is we're looking at the charitable needs of the entire community. So today we're going to talk about a number of our grants, and we will go over the grant process and give you some information so you'll be in a better position to fill out applications and be eligible to receive those grants. So I'd like to turn it back to Isis at this point to start beginning talking about the grants.
Thank you, Frank. So how are our grants decided? A majority of our grant making here at the foundation is done through donor advised funds, which are independently managed by those funds' various donors and advisors. And we'll be speaking about 2 donor advised fund grant opportunities later on in this presentation. We also have our board decided grants, which we collect applications for and go through a committee review process and grant from on an annual basis. And lastly, on this presentation, we also have grants that are decided by external nonprofit committees. Currently, we have 1 active grant opportunity of this type, but we will be expanding very soon. And just a very quick note on our slide, last year we did grant over $6 million, and of that, 141,000 was LBCF board decided. Last year, we initiated a 2-step review process where we introduced subcommittees to focus on 1 grant group and really narrow down the top applications for our grants committee to review. From there, our grants committee made the final recommendations for our board to approve. Because of this 2-step review process, the timing from when the application closes to when awards are announced can take up to 2 months. And also, in an effort to diversify our grant making and strive toward more inclusivity with our Long Beach community organizations, board-decided grantees will be eligible to be awarded every other year. So if you were awarded in 2021, you were not eligible to be awarded in 2022, but this year, 2023, you will be eligible to be awarded if you decide to apply. We're really looking forward to find new organizations to support and further our reach in this community through our limited funding. And Frank is going to be speaking on some points that our grants committee really focuses on during their review process.
Thank you, Isis. I'm sure many of you in the nonprofit community are very experienced in submitting grant applications and possibly reviewing grant applications. But as somebody who has served on our subcommittee and grants committee, I just kind of want to give you a few things that we consider important when we review the applications. The first one's probably pretty obvious, is how closely your program aligns with the grant focus. We pay particular attention to that, as well as the fact that the grant is consistent with your organization and its purpose. We also look into how many people will be affected by the funding. And are you in a position to succeed? Do you have the staff? Do you have the resources to implement the grant? Do you have a record of prior successes? Will the program be sustainable after we make the grant? Those are all important considerations. We look at both the size of your organization and the project budget. We award grants to both small and large organizations, but if you're a larger organization, we want to look at your project budget, and we want to examine how, if we make a grant, it will make a difference. Are you partnering with other organizations? How large is your reach? And is this grant going to make a specific difference in the outcomes that is measurable? So those are a few of the things we look at. And Isis, back to you.
Thank you. So our board decided grants include the Community Impact Fund, which Frank will go into further detail about, our National Philanthropy Day Fund, our Fenney Community Fund, and our Airport Noise Ordinance Neighborhood Impact Fund. And you'll see on the slide our deadlines for each of these grant applications. Our two donor advised funds, which collect applications every year, are the Katie Stone Memorial Fund and our Knight Foundation Fund. And lastly, our nonprofit community decided grant that we will cover is our Long Beach Memorial Heritage Association Fund, which has a huge impact throughout the city. And so now we'll begin our presentation for our 2023 grant opportunities. And Frank is going to start us off with our Community Impact Fund.
Thanks, Isis. The Community Impact Fund is one that's near and dear to me. It is part of our strategic plan to grow. And on a long-term basis, we feel it is one that will give us an opportunity as we grow to more directly impact the emerging needs of the community. And as you can see, each year our board strategically chooses one or more issues that we believe are relevant and needed in the community at this particular time. Coming out of the pandemic, numerous studies have shown that there's a significant adverse effect in education, student performance, and a growing learning gap between those more affluent and those in lower income, underserved and minority communities. And we felt it was important this year to focus our attention on that issue and hopefully be part of the solution going forward. So our 2023 focus is that grants will be awarded to support programs that best address the post-pandemic learning loss recovery and or the emotional and mental health needs of youth and young adults. So this encompasses from early childhood to young adulthood. So it will cover both applications that are designed directly for educational learning loss recovery, and also dealing with emotional and mental health needs that have evolved recently and been exacerbated by the pandemic. As Isis mentioned, we are opening all of our applications at this point in time. So this application is open today. The application deadline is June 8th, and the award notifications will go out between July 29th and August 5th. Isis briefly talked about our process, and we do take a couple of months because it goes both to first to a subcommittee and then to the entire grants committee, where the applications are reviewed, vetted, and ultimately recommendations are made to our board, which approves the grants. One thing about this grant is that we like to highlight these grants at our State of the Foundation event later in the year. And we will invite the grant recipients to attend and to recognize them at that particular time. As we mentioned, we focus on an issue each year. Several years ago, we hosted Around the Tables where thousands of people around Long Beach identified homelessness as the #1 issue and education as #2. We had homelessness as an issue for 1 or 2 years. In 2021, after the pandemic broke out, we shifted slightly to post-pandemic educational and health needs of homeless youth or risk of being homeless, and focused it again similarly but slightly different in 2022, again focusing on post-pandemic educational, emotional, and health needs of at-risk youth. So the focus again is evolving a little bit more this year, but it's remaining similar as we try to deal with these issues that are clearly affecting our urban community. Just to give you a sense of a couple of the grantees in the last couple of years, one was the Book Truck, and if you're familiar with that, it is an outreach program designed to reach homeless and at-risk homeless youth by delivering books and what they call lit boxes to homeless shelters, low-income teen service sites, and dropout recovery high school. So they are getting books out directly to people most in need. Together We Rise is a rapid response organization that deals with transition age foster youth, youth that are coming out of foster care who are really at risk for dropping out of school, becoming homeless. And this organization provides for such things as housing loss, emerging food resources, technology, and academic assistance. So hopefully by giving you a couple of examples of past grantees, it gives you a sense of what we're looking for in organizations as we consider these grants. Isis will talk about the other grants that we're going to be discussing today, so I'll turn it back to her.
Thanks, Frank. Very quickly, I do see a question in our Q&A that I think is relevant for us to cover. We have a question asking if the educational loss is just K through 12 or if it is including college, university. And I want to say that we do cover youth and transition age youth, which transition age youth is 17 to 21, I believe. So it would include those early college years for our youth.
Yeah, I think the grant is clearly designed to cover anything from pre-K through college age. And the transitional foster organization, Together We Rise, is an example of dealing with young adults who are at community colleges or even at Cal State Long Beach. I think the learning loss question is one that will be better explained as years pass, but my my guess would be it will be more accentuated on younger kids who are in the early and more formative stages. But obviously, economically, educationally, all ages have been affected to a degree by the inability to attend classes and gain educational opportunities in that way.
Thank you so much, Frank. And us at the Long Beach Community Foundation, we have so much pride in our Community Impact Fund, and we're so excited to watch it grow so that our impact can continue to increase as the years go by. And now we're going to be talking about another board-initiated grant, our National Philanthropy Day Fund. So to honor National Philanthropy Day, which occurs every year on November 15th, our board decided to start this initiative to support beautifying our local nonprofit spaces. We are looking for projects that are publicly visible and accessible, can be completed in one day, at least the volunteer portion of the project, and a project that is also very volunteer driven. This means that we can look for relatively simple tasks and projects that unskilled people can assist to make a huge impact. And our grant size does range from $2,500 to $5,000. Here are some dates to remember. Just wanted to note that this project can be a part of a larger ongoing project if needed. For example, if you're renovating a building and need to hire contractors, that wouldn't be part of this grant per se, but we could fund the portion that could be turned into a volunteer day event. The purpose of this grant is to bring people and philanthropists together out on the street, really getting down and working hard toward improving a specific space.
I'd just like to add that this is one grant our board and our staff get involved in. We will come out to the organization and work with you on this date and get our hands dirty and help you with the project.
A quick highlight of our past grantees. In 2021, we supported Long Beach Organics Interactive Therapeutic Garden Space, which was a huge hit and really got our board members down in the ground, pulling weeds and produce and digging holes. It made a huge impact just throughout the South Florida community, and just a huge, wonderful event. And last year, we also supported the rejuvenation of the play area over at Rising Tide on 3rd Street. Rising Tide provides kids with a space to learn and play outside of school hours, and updating their play area, which is actually a parking lot, had a huge impact. The before and after of just the space was incredibly impactful. So now we'll be covering our Fenny Community Fund. The Fenny Community Fund was established through an estate gift left to us by a generous donor to support broad and charitable purposes with a preference to children's organizations in the communities of Long Beach and Avalon. Due to the broad nature of this fund, our board looks for ways to have greater impact within Avalon and Long Beach by prioritizing programs and projects that align with our impact fund's focus, or organizations who really target and support vulnerable communities, such as low income, youth experiencing homelessness, etc. Grants are given between $5,000 and $10,000 for this grant. And then here are some dates to remember. I also want to say that if you have any questions about whether your program would better fit under our impact fund or our Fenny Fund application, please reach out to me before starting either application. We would prefer organizations to choose one grant of these to apply for and really submit your strongest work rather than trying to fit into both. A couple of notable past grantees include Human Save. We granted to them in 2021 to support their human trafficking awareness and prevention program. This program really stood out because they were going directly into the schools to bring awareness to our youth, free of cost to the schools. The way they really target such a niche and vulnerable population made their application especially compelling. And last year, we also granted to His Little Feet to support their back to school shoe giveaway. This program was simple and effective. Our committees were quick to understand how LBCF monies would be used, and the fact that they supported youth experiencing homelessness and or were part of foster care in Long Beach went a long way. Next, we'll be covering our Airport Noise Ordinance Neighborhood Impact Fund. This fund was created with fines by airlines who violated noise restrictions at the Long Beach airport. Examples of worthy projects for this grant in particular include public area improvements, community gatherings, neighborhood festivals, and nonprofit programming that benefits the residents within the flight path. Priority is given to projects that work to gather people together and encourage neighborliness. And LBCF can grant anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000. Here are some dates to remember. Now, how do you know if your program, project, or event falls within the flight path? We do have a link to a guide map on our website, longbeachcf.org/grants, that has a guide map that gives a general idea to where the flight path falls under. However, a guide that helped me understand it very quickly was if I could hear airplanes flying overhead from time to time where I am, then I know that I am likely within that flight path. Obviously, in or around the airport is most impacted, but also neighborhoods such as Cal Heights and Bixby Knolls also qualify. In 2021, we supported Jazz Angels swinging along the flight path, music classes, and free performances along the flight path. And last year, we supported Bixby Knolls Community Foundation's concerts in the parking lot, which brought families and businesses together through their free music series at various businesses in Bixby Knolls. So we've covered our board-decided grants now. Here is a question for you. Have you received grant funding from LBCF? If you have, was this grant given in the last 3 years, in the last 7 years, or you've never received funding from us, or maybe you're not sure? So let us know, because we definitely want to see, who we've given to, or, who has not received a grant from the foundation before. And I'm just going to give that a few more moments for folks to fill out, and we'll be closing that poll shortly. So it looks like we have a majority of folks either not sure or have not received grant funding from us, but it's really exciting to see that we have several who have received funding from us, including very recently. So that's really exciting. Close that poll. Okay. So our first donor advised fund that we're going to be highlighting today is our Katie Stone Memorial Fund. This fund was established to honor and embrace the spirit of the late Katie Stone. Her philosophy was to meld work and play, to develop both body and mind, and always act in a generous, fun-loving spirit. Awards from this fund support programs that nurture the body, mind, and spirit of folks of all ages, but especially youth in Long Beach. And grant sizes can vary greatly in size, but can be up to $25,000. Here are some dates to remember. Since this is a donor advised fund, grants will be awarded to qualified applicants who administer programs that best address the grant focus. Grants are ultimately decided by members of Katie Stone's family who are advisors to the fund. And grants will be awarded to US-based nonprofit organizations, schools, or government institutions serving Long Beach and who are in good standing with the IRS.
I had the good fortune to know Katie Stone from the time I was young, and she was an icon in the parks and recreation world, and clearly was a woman who valued recreation, athletics, and especially women's role in that. And it's one of the joys of being on the Community Foundation is seeing people whose legacy is carried on through funds such as this.
Thanks, Frank. Yeah. Last year, Katie Stone awarded to Dramatic Results to support their STEAM and circus program, a math program that includes art forms such as juggling, clowning acrobatics, and other circus arts. This program really melded work and play, really encompassing that piece of Katie Stone's spirit. And we also funded Books and Buckets Youth Action Program. So this program was a post-summer program initiative that continued into the fall. Youth are going to be taking their gained knowledge from their summer programming and applying those lessons through their very own youth-led neighborhood impact projects. Those could include philanthropy, volunteering, advocacy, or awareness. As a teacher and mentor, Katie had a special gift for helping people realize their full potential, and this program really highlighted that spirit. And I see in the Q&A that we have somebody who was familiar with Katie Stone, so that's also very, very exciting to hear. And our second donor advised fund is our Knight Foundation Fund. This is a significantly larger grant than any of our other grant opportunities, but there are very specific criteria that supported projects must have. The Knight Fund looks for projects that lead to or develop informed and engaged communities. This can be done through harnessing local talent, encouraging civic engagement, enhancing economic opportunity, and finds ways to support equitable digital engagement. The Knight Fund favors specifically large-scale projects that have other funding partners already ready to invest or already investing. Investments in these programs is a priority for this fund because their ultimate goal is to find those programs that have momentum and can be replicated to other cities. So because of that, the grant sizes for these can range anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000. If you think your organization may have something that aligns with Knight's vision and fits the necessary criteria that we went over, please reach out to me. This grant is by invitation only, but we do welcome inquiries. So feel free to reach out. A couple of past grantees from this fund include City of Long Beach's technology program, which implemented a civic technology infrastructure solution in Long Beach neighborhoods. And the support of Lincoln Park's own activation, creating a safe, active asset in downtown Long Beach. They have events such as dog obedience classes, fitness classes, and music classes at the park. So it's something that is definitely worth checking out. I personally attended last year's Halloween doggy costume contest parade, which is so much fun. So there's definitely always something going on at the park, and strongly encourage you all to check out their website and maybe attend some of those events. And lastly, we'll be talking about our Navy Trust Fund, a nonprofit committee decided fund. The Long Beach Navy Memorial Heritage Association Fund focuses on finding and preserving qualified historic preservation projects. This could include buildings, public landscapes, or contributing structures in historic neighborhoods. Grants can be anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000. Since this fund is advised by an external nonprofit committee, their granting schedule looks very different from our other grants. Their LOI is open during the month of September, and if you are invited to submit a full proposal, that deadline will be December 15th. There is a preference for projects that are visible to the public, projects that recognize the contributions of the Long Beach Naval Station and Shipyard to the city of Long Beach, and projects that honor the work of architect Paul Revere Williams. Last year, this fund supported several restoration projects, including a mural restoration and the main reception office restoration at Rancho Los Alamitos. And on this slide, you'll also see the other grantees from this Navy Trust. So now that we've talked about our different grant opportunities, I want to go over some tips to improve your application process. But very quickly in the chat, let us know what are some challenges that you've had in submitting grant applications. Now, this doesn't need to be just about our foundation's application process. Think about some pains or kinks that you've experienced when submitting other grant applications. I know, for example, on our end, we get some questions talking about figuring out our budget, and that may take some practice, but you can modify our budget form to meet your program and organization's budget needs. Ooh, language, not having a grant writer. I can definitely understand that struggle. And if you want to connect with me before submitting your application, seeing how to best paint your story and tell us, clearly what to focus on, feel free to reach out. We can schedule some time to go over your application specifically if you need that kind of support. And I see another in the Q&A portion, budget, including those necessary operational program costs. I completely understand that struggle as well. Again, if you have any questions after this presentation, feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, we can definitely schedule some time to go over our application together if you have any questions. Oh, and I see one more very quickly. There's been times when grant portals crash. Woo! I completely understand that. So here are some application tips just from us. Really paint that picture for us. Don't assume that we know you. Be clear with your budget. Explain not just your program's budget, but how LBCF grant funding would be used, because our committees really look for that. Another application tip is just to keep your website and social media posts up to date. Several of our committees are made up of advisory members who may not be familiar with your organization, and they'll likely be searching you online. And if you have, there is no preference whether you want to contact me over email or a phone call, but I think the initial point of contact would probably be an email, and then we could schedule some time to talk either over Zoom or over the phone or even in person if necessary. . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . . 。 . 。 . . 。 . 。 . 。 。 . . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . . 。 . . 。 . And lastly, if you're not awarded, please understand, at least, from our discretionary funding, our funding is very limited. We're trying to diversify and really reach as much impact as possible throughout our Long Beach community. So we do want to have you understand that funding is limited. Very quickly, I'm going to be going over our grant application portal. Since 2021, our foundation has moved to an online application process through our very own grant portal. And a reminder that all of our applications are available to view online, and submissions will be accepted until each grant's deadline. To access the grant portal and begin your application, visit our website, longbeachcf.org/grants. Scroll down until you find the blue grant portal hyperlink. If this is your first time using our grant portal, you will need to create an account. One account will usually be sufficient for one organization. Once you've created your account, you will have a history record of every grant application that you've submitted and the status of that application on your profile. As part of your information, we will also need your organization's information, such as your tax ID number and contact information. This grants portal allows us to do a charity check directly through the system. So having that tax ID number really helps us verify your organization's status easily. And once you've created your account, you'll be able to go to your homepage. At the very top of your homepage, there's a link that says apply. So make sure to click that. That'll take you to our publicly listed grant opportunities. At the top right corner of each application, you'll find the apply button to begin your application. All of these applications are automatically saved. So information will be retained even if your account is logged out or if it crashes or something happens. So your information will be saved, but you can also manually save it. We do hope this application process will be seamless for everyone, but if anybody does have any questions regarding any part of the application, again, reach out to me and I'll be happy to assist you. So this concludes our presentation, and we are going to be opening it up to any questions that you may have. I do have one question here about National Philanthropy Day. Does the organization need to own the building, or will organizations that are working out of a church or school qualify? We do prefer to fund an organization that owns the building, but we will consider a leased building. Just please apply. Exterior facade improvements are preferred. We're looking for a big before and after effect that can be seen by the surrounding community. Another question here, very good question. What if we had a grant writer already apply and left without sharing the login? No, oh my gosh. Reach out to me. We can go ahead and reset that password, and I can even go in and manually change that email address to update your account so that you can log in yourself. But reach out to me. We do have access to change that contact information if that something like that happens. How rigid is the geographic scope of these grants? Could they expand to Huntington Beach or strictly Long Beach? So for our board decided grants and the grants that we presented here today, they do specifically say support in Long Beach. Our Fenny Fund supports the community of Avalon as well. Unfortunately, if your organization only serves in Orange County or only serves in cities surrounding Long Beach, you may not be eligible. But if part of your project impacts Long Beach in any way, then we would want to hear about that, and we would want to see that on the application.
I would just add to that there are community foundations in a variety of geographical locations, such as the Orange County Community Foundation. So if you're an organization that is within those boundaries, that community foundation may be more appropriate for you to submit a grant to. You can go online and find out various locales of community foundations, both throughout Southern California, and the nation.
Thanks, Frank. Yeah, definitely worth looking into our other local community foundations in Southern California. We are so lucky to have so many foundations throughout Long Beach, LA County, and Orange County. So there is opportunity for everybody. Do you grant to fiscally sponsored organizations or programs that are in the process of completing 501c3s? Yes, we do. But please put in your fiscal sponsor's tax ID when creating your account, so that we can go ahead and process that application accordingly. But yes, we do cover and support fiscally sponsored organizations and programs. If not awarded, can you provide the metrics for your decision? Yes, we can connect after announcements have gone out to talk about some points that stood out to committees in general throughout their review process. Our committees do have a note section, so discussions are welcomed within each committee. So we do get a good record of seeing why and why not applications stood out, so we can connect after awards have been announced if your program was not chosen to talk about why that could be.
I would just add that we receive a large number of applications. So we are limited in the number of grants we can provide. So, there may be many, many more worthy applicants than we are able to give grants to each year. And that, again, is one of the reasons that we decided to not have organizations eligible for the next year, so we can give to as many groups as possible with these grants.
Exactly. Very quickly, yes, a recording of this session will be made available after the meeting. And we will also be providing a copy of the slide deck for you. I have two more questions that I just wanted to highlight very quickly. They were answered throughout the presentation, but I just wanted to point them out. Public institutions of higher education are eligible for funding from our board decided grants, as well as several of the grants that we presented here. As long as you are a certified nonprofit, which public institutions and government institutions are, so we can definitely grant to that. And lastly, we do have, and for those public institutions, if you have an associated foundation, we would prefer that you apply through that. So just wanted to highlight that for public institutions. If you do have an associated foundation, we would appreciate that just to ease the process. And one question about our Navy Memorial Heritage Fund. Do you apply through our organization? Yes. That application is available through our website. The LOI opens at the beginning of September. You will be using the same grants portal here. And so I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for joining us, and please stay connected. Follow us on social media, and record my contact information. Reach out to me for any questions that you may have. Look forward to hearing from you. Let's schedule some time to talk. Again, just a quick reminder, we will be providing a recording after this, but we will also be emailing a survey. Please, we look forward so much to your feedback. Once again, just thank you so much for joining us.
Isis, I'd also like to add that we value our relationships with all the local nonprofits, and we appreciate you've taken the time today to listen to our grants webinar, and hopefully it's been helpful to you.
Thanks. And just a very quick announcement before we end the meeting. We are partnering with the Nonprofit Partnership, so please keep an eye out if you are connected with the Nonprofit Partnership. We are going to be doing Meet the Funders, and an in-person presentation where you can meet the Long Beach Community Foundation. So more information will be going out for that. So please stay on the lookout for that. And that's going to be happening March 1st for Meet LBCF. And March 28th, I will be presenting at Meet the Funders, where I'll be going over our grant opportunities once again. Thank you so much, everybody.